Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, whenever or wherever you're watching us. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I am your host, Michael Clifford, a.k.a. Slim Cliffy. Joining me for the next hour to try to make sense of this pricing tonight over on DraftKings is our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
Pretty good. It's not 9:30 in the morning, so I'm doing better than Saturday. Excited to break down the slate, a couple obvious chalky spots, but after that, there's a lot of value. So some of these mid-range stacks are definitely going to go overlooked tonight.
Yeah, I want to talk about that value real quick. We're going to review last night's slate in a second. I just want to talk about this slate real quick. The value was something that really stuck out to me tonight when I looked across all our lines. I mean, Calgary's pricing went down. Carolina's pricing went down. Winnipeg's pricing went down. Like, it seemed a lot of spots saw their prices drop except for Edmonton and Boston. And something I talked about in our Discord was it seems like DK realizes that everybody's just jamming in Connor McDavid on every Edmonton slate. And they're trying to price other lines at a spot where people just can't ignore them anymore and have to get away from the 23 or 24K Edmonton one. But I still feel like Connor McDavid's going to be like 30 to 40% owned tonight regardless. And it's just going to make people make even like more weird lineups because there's so much value on the slate. How are you looking at this?
Yeah, there's, Edmonton 1, 23-7 or whatever it is on DraftKings, whatever. I mean, there's like tons of lines priced from like 10,000 to 12,000. You can fit McDavid easily. They just need to make McDavid 10,500 just to like give someone be like, that might be too expensive for 2 assists, 8 shots on goal, and a block shot. You know what I mean? Like, make the people think. Right now, it's even tonight at their pricing, it's too easy to fit him in. So he's probably going to be, 40% on a 10 gamer until him and Draisaitl are 18, 19, almost 20,000 to stack together. We're just going to be the same dilemma. But I think, you know what, in GPPs, with all that concentrated ownership on Boston and Edmonton, if one or both of them bust, like some of these mid-range lineups are going to go crazy tonight.
Yeah, that's true. And that's the thing with a slate this big is, maybe Edmonton and Boston have good games, but with 18 other teams, there are obviously going to be other spots that go off tonight. So you can't just focus in on Edmonton and Boston. You have to look all across the slate. And that's what we're here to do. We're here to help you guys look all across the slate. Looking back at last night's slate, want to shout out a couple people. Hawkbrow had a good night last night in NHL. I saw he's a guy that plays all over the place. We know him most for NHL here, but he plays a lot of different sports. Had a real good NHL last night. One of our buddies, Ryan Sorensen, took down the Quarter Arcade and the Daily Dollar, I think, using Washington and Los Angeles too. And I got to say, Josh, it feels bad, man, because I game stacked Toronto and Los Angeles with Los Angeles too. And I felt good about that lineup. If I would have just gone Washington and Los Angeles too instead, maybe I would have actually won something. But that, Los Angeles too, it's on the slate. We're going to talk about it in a little bit. But it wasn't out of left field that line had a good night last night. They've been a pretty good line almost all season long now.
Yeah, if you take out per 60, like if you just look at expected goals for lines and not per 60 because it doesn't account for ice time, they're one of the highest expected goals for lines on the season. And, it wasn't like Toronto played bad. They outchanced them. They had better Corsi numbers. They had all that. Campbell just gave up 4 high danger chance goals, and Quick had a good game. So, no one loves coming on the show and bashing the Leafs more than me. But like, they played well last night, but Toronto or LA just played better hockey game. And then, the Rangers, lowest Corsi for percentage in the league, bailed out by Igor. The Rangers front office blind to analytics. So, they found someone who's going to carry the team like Hank did for, 10 years and just ignore how bad they suck. So they got lucky to win last night.
Yeah, as everyone can tell, Josh is a Rangers fan, and he's not too excited about the general direction of the team right now, despite the fact that I think they're 7-3 or something like that. Obviously Igor is carrying a lot of that weight, but yeah, I just want to talk about that LA Kings 2 line real quick and just mention them because they are on the slate today. like you said, putting up a lot of expected goals, a lot of shots. And finally, last night, they broke through. Definitely helped some people in our chat win some money, helped our buddy win some money. Maybe they can even win some more money for us tonight. But I always feel bad about chasing the same filler line 2 nights in a row. Like, what are the chances that Phil Deneau and Alex Iafallo, have monster nights 2 nights in a row on the road? But we'll
see. He's 2,900.
Yeah, that's true. So, let's talk a little bit about this pricing. Before we go too much further, just want to give a quick shout out to Yahoo Fantasy. They are the sponsor for our show today. They've been sponsoring us all year long, and it seems like they had a big update to their lineup uploading system, uploading process either yesterday or the day before. So now it's a lot easier to edit your lineups across all the contests. So it's even easier to play on Yahoo now. We have a little giveaway from them, so we'll talk about them a little bit later. And while we're here, if you guys could give us a like and subscribe, I see about 75 people watching right now, only 20 thumbs. You give us a quick thumbs up and click that subscribe button. I think you guys will really like all the shows that we have to offer. And be sure to check out today's premium tools and data. We have NBA player rankings, NHL player rankings, and PGA top golfers all up on the site. So whether you're playing NBA, NHL, or you're looking ahead to NBA or PGA this week, we have you covered. So check out Awesemo.com and look up some of our free premium tools like NBA player rankings and NHL player rankings. Speaking of NHL, let's talk about that. Ottawa, 2.1 implied goal total. They're going into Boston. The Bruins have a 3.5 implied goal total. Obviously, Boston has the highest implied goal total at home on the slate. Edmonton has the highest overall. Boston's obviously going to carry a lot of ownership. 2 things to note about Ottawa. One, they moved Drake Batherson down to the second line. Not sure why they did that, but they broke up the Norris Tkachuk Batherson line, which had been, really, really good for them over the last, I want to say 25 regular season games. So Batherson down to the second line. And Ottawa is also going through some COVID problems. I think one of their goalies is sick. I don't know if it's COVID or not, but they called up an AHL goalie. If that goalie gets a start, he could be cheap, but I suspect it'll be Matt Murray. So Ottawa's going into Boston. We might have some COVID issues. I think that's all been cleared up, but that's just something to keep in mind. Drake Batherson down on the second line. Probably a lot of top line Boston ownership, but there might be stuff all across that Boston lineup to like. So what do you like?
Yeah, I'll start with Ottawa. Norris Tkachuk Sanford going into the Bergeron matchup. I'm going to give that a nope. If Batherson was there, maybe I consider it an MME, but going into Bergeron, hard no. It's one of the things I don't do. That second line, like, people are going to be like, oh, that's nice. Stützle, Paul Batherson, but like Boston 2 is very good. So that's also a tough matchup. So really, I'm going to be pretty low on Ottawa this tonight. It's a 2.1 total on the road anyway. I wouldn't imagine there's going to be much ownership there anyway. Boston 1, obviously in play. I think they're the most expensive line of the night, but they're also, if you look at the Awesemo top stacks, they are the top projected top 2 stack, which isn't a shock. Fully correlated on the power play. I think you full stack here. Not much else to say there. They're going to get some power play chances. They're probably going to score on the power play. They're probably going to score just no matter what you put around them. And then, I really like the second line tonight. Craig Smith is a guy we like to target. The dude just is going to score one of these days. We might have more gray hairs by the time he does it, but the numbers say he's going to do it. And Taylor Hall gets that top power play. They're on a 12-2 to full stack. I think they're a very good filler option in a high total game. Their ownership's like 4%. So I can get behind some Boston 2. If you really need to get some sauce in there, you can go a Hall, a DeBrusque 2-man fit for 5,300 if you're trying to fit in some power play stacks. But, their ownership is higher than Boston 2, so I don't really feel the need to go that far down unless you need the salary.
Yeah, we talk a lot about, high ownership spots and going down to the second and third lines. And while I agree, I don't mind Boston 2 here tonight. And I do have Craig Smith as a write-up in my Power Plays article today because of how cheap he is and how high event that line is. Like, they're taking 84 shot attempts per 60 minutes. That's a power play, man. Like, let's get serious. That Boston second line has been very good offensively. but they're also giving up 56 shot attempts against per 60 minutes. They're just a very high event line, right? And that second line of Stützle and Batherson kind of interests me because Stützle really hasn't had skilled players to play with. Like Connor Brown is a good two-way player, but he's not super skilled. Nick Paul, he's a good two-way player, but not super skilled. Stützle is finally getting a skilled scorer on the other side. The problem is because how good Batherson has been on the top line this year, he's still at 6K. So even if you want a two-man, like a Stützle Batherson, that's 10K on the road going into Boston. Like on a 10-game slate, I just don't think that's super necessary. Like maybe if you have 150 lineups and you want a two-man Stützle Batherson or something like that, yeah, that's fine. I'm playing 20 lineups tonight, and I don't think Ottawa is going to be in consideration for me other than some one-offs. On the Boston side, we talk about dipping down, like I said, dipping down the second line when there's high ownership. But Ottawa has a terrible penalty kill, bottom 5 in the league. This seems like one of those situations where I want to play Boston 1 more than Boston 2. I want to attack that Ottawa penalty kill. So Boston 1 for me, like on a per dollar basis, point per dollar, Boston 1 still grades out better than Boston 2 for me. So even adjusting for their price, Boston 1 still comes out better. And a lot of it has to do with that Ottawa penalty kill. So for me, Boston 1, I really like them. I don't mind Ottawa 2. Like they've been getting more ice time than the top line over the last few games. And that's not hyper at 5-on-5. That's not hyperbole. That's just the way the ice time is broken out. I just think it's a terrible spot for them, especially with that price. So it's all about Boston 1 for me in this game. On the blue line, Mike Riley was a guy I mentioned in our Discord chat earlier. Min price 2,500, playing 18 to 20 minutes. He's a good puck mover. Don't mind Mike Riley. Obviously McAvoy if you want to correlate the power play, but then you're getting really, really expensive. Anybody else stick out to you?
Yeah, I see a lot of people mentioning Eric Brandstrom today for the Sens. Like he's min price on power play too, and if you want to use him in GPPs, that's I guess go for it. Like that's fine. I prefer to play Riley or Carlo out of this game, or maybe even Derek Forbert, 2,500 top pair. So
I will say flat out, I'd rather play Mike Riley than Eric Brandstrom, right?
Yeah, me too.
And Mike Riley's not going to be like 9% owned or something like that. He's going to be like 2 or 3%. Just take it. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, that's where we are. Let's go with some Boston 1 in that game. All right, moving along. Los Angeles, 2.3 implied goal total going into Montreal. The Habs are sitting with a 3.1 implied goal total. Couple lineup notes, or a few lineup notes. Obviously, Cal Peterson likely to start for Los Angeles as Jonathan Quick played last night. Josh Anderson, they said he was sick, non-COVID illness, but he didn't even skate today. I'm going to assume he's out tonight, but they said he's officially game time decision. Christian Dvorak, also a game time decision. So and Jonathan Drouin is out. So theoretically, with Cole Caulfield gone, they're at least missing their entire second line tonight. If Dvorak and Anderson are out, and Montreal does not have the depth to lose an entire line like that. So while the Kings don't have a huge implied goal total, I'm kind of getting drawn back into their second line. What do you see out of this game, Josh?
Oh yeah. I mean, I got Phil. Well, first of all, Philip Deneau haunts the Leafs. I fell asleep before the press conference. I was hoping he was eating some pizza or something. No, but like Deneau, Anthony Ciu 2-man, 5,900. Like, come on. Like, if you want to have Iafallo on there for power play 1, that's fine. But like, you can full stack, you could 2-man, like 5,900 for Deneau, Anthony Ciu, especially if Dvorak is out. Like, once you get past the Suzuki line, there's like, I don't understand how there's a 3.1 total. Like, if the totals were swapped today, I wouldn't even
have blinked.
I wouldn't have blinked. Yeah. So, like, I'm a little bit confused on this total. Like, and it's keeping the ownership on the Kings down. Yeah, it's back to back on the road on a big slate, but like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to go back to that second line of LA tonight. If you want to use that top line, that's fine. Like I like Kempe, like as a one-off, I think that's fine. But I as a full stack, LA2 for me. On Montreal side, like it's just tough to full stack anything. If you want to, stack Suzuki to Foley Hoffman, but they're 10%. Like, I don't know. I just don't want to play that line at 10%, especially if Dvorak's out. Like, they're going to be the only line, and maybe they avoid Kopitar, but I just can't get behind a 3.1 total on the Habs with that ownership, like it's going to be a pass for me.
Like we might see Adam Brooks, second line center, and this is a 3.1 total at home. Like I honestly, I just don't. One thing I will say about Los Angeles, like I agree with you on full stacking the second line. I really do like that line as a filler line. The thing with full stacking the top line for Los Angeles is Montreal's penalty kill is bad. And they're also one of the most penalized teams in the NHL. And the Kings are fully correlated on the power play. That top line, I should say, is fully correlated. And they're coming in at 16,000. So they're not super expensive, right? Like you could even go Los Angeles one off McDavid and still fit in like a Winnipeg 2 or Winnipeg 3 stack with them. You know what I mean? Like, so especially with Cale Clegg still running the top power play unit at 3,300, like then you get a 4-man, or you can take out Kempe and add in Clegg, you take out Brown and add in Clegg, whatever you want to do. So I agree with you on full stacking the second line, but I think there's a case to be made for full stacking the top line as well. Really attack that Montreal PK, and there's just no matchup I'm worried about. Like there's just none. So I'll probably have both of the Los Angeles top lines in different lineups here tonight. It feels bad that I'm so excited about a team with a 2.3 total, but it just feels like one of those games where either I'm completely missing something or I think something's wrong here. And I agree with you that I think something is a little bit off here. So LAK1 full power play stack is fine. LAK2, I really do like them. One line I'm going to throw out is Montreal 3. Armia, Lehkonen, Evans. Obviously, you don't need to full stack them. A 2-man is fine. I'm throwing them out there because there are super expensive spots like Boston and Edmonton. And that third line has actually looked decent for them in a small sample. And like Lehkonen is a guy with a play driving history. Joel Armia is a guy with a play driving history. Jake Evans at worst is an average defensive center. So I could see them doing well against that Los Angeles third and fourth line.
Was there a stretch last year where Lehkonen was leading the Habs in like shot rate for it was like a month too. He was
and then there was like the first month of the season, like I'm pretty sure Joel Armia was one of their top 3 scorers. Like these guys can score. So Lehkonen and Armia, don't mind them as a little 2-man going against the Kings' death, but I do think this is a Los Angeles game. On the blue line, obviously Cale Clegg running, if you want to correlate with Los Angeles. Chris Weidman running the Suzuki to Foley power play unit. He's been priced 2,500, makes them more palatable, I guess. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, like Chris Weidman. I mean, I'd rather play Chris Weidman than Eric Brandstrom. Like, I'll just throw that out there.
But, yeah, I agree with that.
I
agree with Weidman over Brandstrom.
Yeah, that's really about it for me on the Habs side. On the, Clegg, if you want to one-off Edler, if you're in that range for your final defense spot, that's fine, but it's probably just correlating here tonight.
Yep, agree with that. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our Discord channel, lineup builder, and a whole lot more. If you're a new user of Awesemo Plus Platinum, then you can take advantage of the promo code we have for this show, which is NHL Strategy Show, all caps, all one word. That's NHL Strategy Show for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can find the link to activate this coupon in the description of the video below. Of course, if you're looking only to play NHL DFS, then you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL weekly packages for as low as $3.95 per week. Stop guessing, start winning. Join Awesemo Plus today. And as mentioned earlier, we do have premium data up and tools up on the site if you want to check us out. Before spending any of your hard-earned cash here, we have NBA player rankings, NHL player rankings, and PGA top golfers. So check us out, see what we're about, but I think you'll like it. And that's NHL Strategy Show, all caps, all one word, for 25% off your first week of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All right, moving along. Carolina, 2.6 implied goal total. They're going into Tampa. The Tampa Bay Lightning have a 3.0 implied goal total. Carolina has changed up their lines. I should say they went to different lines last game, and they've stuck with them. They've gone to the tried, tested, and true Svechnikov, Aho, Teravainen top line, and then Trocheck, Martin Necas, and Jesperi Kotkaniemi on the second line. On the Tampa Bay side, Mikhail Sergachev, still suspended. Ryan McDonough and Eric Chernak running the second power play unit in his place. Two pretty good teams, but we only have 5.5 total here, Josh. So maybe not a lot of ownership, but I think there might be some stuff to like that gets overlooked. So what do you think?
Yeah, I'm going to start with Carolina. Like, I really want to get behind Carolina too, because they're going to see the Stamkos line, which, Stamkos' center is just horrific. Like, he shouldn't be a center in the NHL anymore. He needs to be in Ovi's office, on the wing, on the power play, just sit there and, slap shots. But like, Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Vincent Trocheck, Martin Necas have awful numbers together in a small sample. So maybe something's got to give, but like under 1%, I think, in MME, you don't need much to get over the field. You can have a little bit there. It's a good matchup for them. If you want to go to that top line as well, like they're fully correlated under 1% ownership right now. They're going to get lost in the shuffle of the Bostons and the Edmontons. It's not a very high total and it's on the road, but, fully correlated lines, especially on a team like the Hurricanes, interest me. And on the Tampa side, I think what I want to do here, there isn't a line that I want a full stack. I think I want a power play stack. Carolina leads the league in penalties. I think it's almost 5 a game. Like,
yeah, it's like 4.6 a game or something like that.
Something ridiculous. So I don't mind doing like a point Killorn Stamkos in GPPs. You want to, if you need the salary to try to squeeze in some big boys, you want to put in ABB to be your who's the guy? Oh, to be your Alex Chiasson, go for it. But I think, at this ownership, there's not much ownership on Tampa either. So I think, power play stacking a team, against the team that takes the most penalties is a nice route to go.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting stack here tonight. Now, obviously, Carolina's penalty kill isn't bad. They're actually at the bottom of the league for shot attempts allowed, and their actual goals against is like right around 21st. So like they're not, right around 11th. Sorry. So they're not allowing a ton of goals, but if you're going to give Point and Hedman and Stamkos and those guys, 4 or 5 opportunities, I will definitely have some stabs. So I'm going to wait to see what my crunches say, because I haven't made my lineups yet, but on the Tampa Bay side, I agree with you. It's for me, it'd be a power play stack or nothing else. On the Carolina side, I agree with you that the Trocheck line is in the better spot, but I don't really like that line. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather, I think Niederreiter's still hurt. I'd rather see somebody like him up there, or like, God forbid, even Jordan Martinook. Like, I think Kotkaniemi, and he just seems to have better chemistry with Stahl than he does. You don't seem too excited about that.
No, I mean, I'm saying like give Seth Jarvis a run in the top 6.
Yeah, or something like that. But, they have a lot invested in Kotkaniemi, so they have to make that work. I just like the Carolina top line the best. Like, for me, it's just a situation of I'm just going to go today, and I'm just going to stack the best line. Like, we'll see where the ownership runs come in, because on our ownership run this morning, we still have Jordan Martinook in the top line, and obviously that's changed, but we didn't have that much Carolina ownership. And I don't think adding Svechnikov to the top line is going to suddenly make them like 8% or something like that, or 9%. Like, this is going to be a 5% line or under on the road. Svechnikov, Aho, and Teravainen.
It has to be low owned, because people are not going to go to them over Boston or Edmonton. There's not like similarly priced, but Carolina one's pretty.
You have to play one or the other. Carolina one is priced at like 19.6, so you can't fit in them with like Boston or Edmonton or something. So I don't know. Like, I really like that Carolina line. I'm going to wait to see where my crunches are. This seems like a game I'm just going to be probably going to have some one-offs out of it. Like I said, I like the Carolina top line. I like a Tampa PP stack, but I know where my numbers are, and I can imagine where my lineups are going to be, and I don't think I'm going to have too much for stacks out of this line. But we do like the blue line here. McDonough and Chernak both played north of 25 minutes the last game, with Sergachev suspended. I don't see why that would change a whole lot here tonight. So obviously I like both of them on the blue line. Is there anybody else you like here?
Yeah, I agree. When Sergachev's out, the third pair sees like 38 seconds of ice time. So like the top two, they might as well just dress 2 extra forwards. But yeah, if you need a one-off, McDonough, Chernak, preference for you. I think they're both fine. Carolina side, just correlating for me, I think.
Yeah, I think this is the way I'd approach it. I would probably play McDonough in cash games and Chernak in GPPs, because I think McDonough, he's more of a shot blocker, and Carolina is one of the highest shot volume teams, right? So good chance McDonough can get to the block bonus here tonight, where I think Chernak is more like a shooter assist guy. You know what I mean? So they bring different stuff, but I think both are definitely in play here tonight. Next game, Florida, 3.2 implied goal total. They're going into New Jersey. The Devils have a 2.8 implied goal total. Miles Wood out for New Jersey, and they have two guys getting called up. I don't think it's going to affect their top six. So I don't think it would affect anything that we'd necessarily be using or stacking tonight for the Devils. On the Florida side, Owen Tippett kind of got shoved around in their game last night. Not sure where he's going to line up. We've been talking in Discord about how, that Florida second and third line might get changed up today. I suspect the top line stays together, but I think the second and third line might see some changes. There's a lot of interest here because it's a 6 total, good power play spots for both teams, but a little bit of a line mess. So how are you handling this game?
Yeah, I want to get behind this game. I'm just struggling to find something that I really want to put in. Barkov played yesterday coming back from his lower body injury. He didn't have the best game. I mean, he had a 6-on-5 assist at the end of the game. I don't know, just from a price standpoint, I'm kind of priced out on that top line in Florida tonight, just with what I'm trying to do. It's kind of like a weird spot. Was it 15 and change? It's just one of those mid-range lines that are probably going to go overlooked because of all the ownership on Edmonton and Boston. And plus, Panthers are back-to-back on the road, so we're not going to get – they didn't skate, so we don't know what the lines are going to be like. It's a 7 o'clock game, so we're going to get the news, but it's just if you have to re-crunch because, Verhaeghe got moved down it's just not something I want to deal with. It's not like a premier spot. The Devils are okay. They're not terrible. They're not great. They're just kind of, okay. So I think I'm going to take a pretty under the field stance on Florida tonight. And on the Devils side, I want to get behind some of this depth that are going to avoid Barkov. It's just I don't like how these lines are lined up. So I think even though this is a 6 total and something that you should have in GVPs, there just isn't much there for me.
I will take a little bit of a different approach. I love that New Jersey second line here tonight. They're coming in with almost no ownership. Talking about Tatar, Janssen, and Mercer. Coming in with no ownership, we have them at 1%. This is a game with a 6 total, and the second line is 1%. At 10K, right? We were talking earlier about what lines can you fit in, that won't be super high owned and all that. We're going to talk about the Wheeler and Scheifele line. We're going to talk about the Horvat and Pearson line later. Those are going to be super high owned lines. The New Jersey second line is not, and they've been good this year. Janssen, Tatar, and Mercer, 60 shot attempts per 60 minutes, 58% shot share. If you look at what they did with Jesper Bratt there, it was 65% shot share. So what Janssen and Mercer have just been very good this year, regardless of if it's Bratt or whether it's Tatar or whomever. That second line has just been flat out good. And Florida's second line, good offensively, not as good defensively. They're really trading chances at both ends of the ice. I look at Huberdeau, Bennett, and Tippett. I know that, obviously Bennett's injured. Their expected goals against sits at 3 per 60 minutes. That Florida line isn't great defensively, that second line. So honestly, that New Jersey second line, Mercer, Tatar, Janssen, flat out one of my favorite filler lines on the entire slate tonight. So that's where I'm going to be focusing in this game. On the Florida side, I think it's just PP stack, at least for now, right? Because we don't really know what the lines are going to be other than the top line. So you can't just say stack, Huberdeau, Tippett, Luostarinen. We don't know that that's what the line is going to be. So you can power play stack, and then those are going to be the expensive players. And then when the lines come out, you can shuffle things around if you need to. So where these are the two of the most penalized teams in the NHL, New Jersey second, Florida third. I definitely want some Florida power play guys here. So Florida power play stack for me, New Jersey second line is where I'm going to focus. If you want to go to the New Jersey top line, get some additional top power play exposure, I think that's fine. But I just like the second line as a filler for what I'm trying to do in my lineups here tonight. On the blue line, man, those New Jersey defense prices just do not come down. I don't know what's going on, but there's no one on New Jersey I'm playing outside of. Like, I might sneak in some Ty Smith for 2,600, but I'm not putting a 6,200 PK Subban with my 10K line. That's just not what I'm doing. Florida side, Forsling's getting too expensive. I think Weegar might be fine for 4,800. What do you think?
Yeah, and at Awesemo.com, we love a good ass. So Radko good ass you can throw in for 2,900. So other than that, like Ryan Graves 5,700 too expensive. Severson at 5K is just wild. And like PK Subban, PK Slewfoot ban, 6,200. Like he's due for one. It's been almost a week without a Slewfoot, so he might get tossed tonight.
Yeah, 3 Slewfoots in 1 week. I think he got penalty for one, fine for the second, and a bigger fine for the third one. It's like, come on, man. Stop slew-footing people. Anyways, we have partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo, sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you play in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you need immediate access, email support@awesemo.com and we'll get you set up. You can also claim a free $10 below, which can be used to enter any Yahoo contest. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. And also, as I mentioned earlier, Yahoo rejiggered their contest and lineup changes. So now you can change your lineups across all your contests. You couldn't before. It makes it a lot easier for the players that are MMEing. So if you want to play a lot of lineups, but you don't, you want to practice your MME, but you don't want to play against some sharks, heading on over to Yahoo isn't a bad way to do it. You can get a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum for your troubles. Not a bad little deal. All right. Let's move on to what I assume is the main event of the evening. Edmonton, 3.6 implied goal total going into Detroit. Detroit has a 2.8 implied goal total. I mean, I don't know what else to say anymore, Josh. Like, we're going to say this until the end of time, until they price with McDavid and Draisaitl skating together, until they price the two of them over 10K, you play the two of them. It's just a matter of how much you play them. Do you play them, 60%, 40%, 20%? It's just a matter of your exposure level. So I don't know where you want to go with this. It seems pretty obvious what we're doing with Edmonton.
Yeah, and I feel like a vice principal wearing suspenders just storming the hall looking for trouble. Jesse Puljujarvi, put him in your stacks. Yes, it says power play 2. You go to any lineup site, you go to anything, he's on the second power play. Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, play all 2 minutes. Zach Hyman, Tyson Barrie, come off. Jesse Puljujarvi, and Darnell Nurse, come on. So you get the power play correlation with McDavid with Puljujarvi. Play him. He always comes in a quarter of the ownership of McDavid. He's 5,100. He gets in. He's scoring again now. I think you can power play stack. If you want to leave Hyman off, put Puljujarvi on. You save 700 there. Now, there's questions what the Wings are going to do, right? Because at home, they've been sending out the Rasmussen line against Top Comp, but recently they've been sending out the Larkin line against Top Comp. Doesn't matter. Larkin line, very high event. Rasmussen line, terrible. So 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Doesn't change what I'm doing. It does change what I do on Detroit. If they do send out the Larkin line against McDavid line, I don't want anything to do with that Detroit top line. If they're gonna, I doubt we'll get any information, but if they send out that Rasmussen line, that Larkin line may get some depth. But that third line for Edmonton hasn't been bad. Like, they're pretty good. So I'm probably just going to be under the weight on the field on Detroit 1. Detroit 2 is where I'm going to look. Pia Suter has become Connor McDavid apparently over the weekend. I missed that memo. But I like that Fabry Suter Zadina line. They're almost getting no ownership. I think, I crossed off Devils 2 earlier because I like the Kings. I like the Wings second line. There's some other ones I like later, and I don't play 150 lineups. but I will have some Detroit too in my mix.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to take a whole lot of time with Edmonton here. I'm going to have like 25 to 30% McDavid / Draisaitl / power play stacks. And then I'm going to figure out the rest of my lineups after that. This isn't I'm fading McDavid moment. We're going to have those eventually. It's not going to be tonight. It's the Detroit side that I want to talk about, and it's the second line that I agree with you. They've been very, very high event this year. So, like, maybe they give some back, but I don't care if they get scored against. I'm only looking for them to score goals. 70 shot attempts per 60 minutes in 55 minutes of ice time. 3.6 expected goals. Only 2.2 actual goals, but obviously they're generating a ton of offense. And Edmonton's starting an AHL goalie here tonight in Stuart Skinner. So I really like that third line from Detroit here. No ownership, as you said. We have them under 1% ownership. I imagine, they'll probably come in around 1 to 2%. You can do like a 2-man power play 2-stack of like Suter, Fabry, Hronik, and there's your 10,500 stack to put in instead of Winnipeg or any other of the super obvious filler stacks that we talk about, or like Vancouver. So yeah, Detroit 2, Suter, Fabry, especially like that 2-man. If you want to full stack the whole line, throw in Zadina with them, no problem. But it's Fabry and Suter that I'm especially focusing on, especially where, the Edmonton second line. I know you said the third line has been good, but they broke up that third line. They moved Kyler Yamamoto down there. So I wonder how that chemistry is going to get affected by Edmonton. So I'll definitely take some stabs on Detroit 2 here tonight, but obviously Edmonton power play should be at the top of your list for consideration. Defenseman here, Hronik is a guy that's jumping out again because he's still relatively cheap, and now he's getting power play minutes. Darnell Nurse 6K feels like you got to stuff him in if you're playing any Edmonton or something like that, and you need some savings. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, Nurse 6K, if you can fit him. Barry, if you're correlating power play. I mean, you can correlate Nurse. If I'm going to go on this rant about Puljujarvi, Nurse is the same thing too. So like you can put him in if you can fit him. Otherwise, Barry for the savings. Hronik, I will play with Detroit 2 over Leddy. I try to find the 600 for Hronik over Leddy. Rest in peace, Evan Bouchard for now. We'll come back to you later when you're back to 2,700.
5K without that power play time and without the peripherals, it is tough. All right, let's move it along. St. Louis is going into Winnipeg. The Blues have a 2.9 implied goal total. Winnipeg has a 2.7 implied goal total. Some good news for Winnipeg. Both Nikolai Ehlers and Mark Scheifele are in, but Paul Stastny is out. And I think that's a fairly significant, like not a massive loss for them, but he really kind of brings that line around, like that Kopp Ehlers line. Really, I think he's a good playmaker for that line. And I'm not sure Jansen Harkins is the guy who can do it for them. I wrote about Ryan O'Reilly in my Power Plays article this morning, so it's pretty clear where my focus is on this game. Where's your focus on this game, Josh?
Yeah, I'm probably on the same page as you. I'll just start with Winnipeg. I hate their lines 5-on-5 here. And then you look at, Scheifele and Wheeler, they're 80-100 for the two of them. But their ownership's just like bananas high. And I just cannot get behind Wheeler. I don't care what his price is. Like, I'll just make it clear. I'm pretty much out on Winnipeg tonight. I just can't get behind that ownership on the Scheifele Wheeler line.
Just to clarify what Josh means here, that line is our fourth highest owned line on the slate, and there's 20 teams playing.
Yeah, I just can't do it. This, and without Stastny there, I can't full stack Winnipeg too. Jansen Harkins may be good in the future, but he's still like a huge drop off from Stastny. It just turns me off of that line. There we go with phrasing again. Connor Dubois, I guess okay. They're just like really expensive. Where I'm going to focus here is St. Louis 1. I know O'Reilly burned a bunch of people the other night, but it was his first game back in a while. Give the man a break. So I'm going back to the O'Reilly Perron combo there. If you want to throw in Saad, I think that's fine. He's aptly priced at 4K. Other than that, I'm not going to full stack anything. I think Pavel Buchnevich, 3,800. Tear rolling down my face. Power play 1 is a good one-off, and I don't mind the 2-man of Thomas Tarasenko. It just, Tarasenko 7K. little strange.
Should I just want to correct you real quick? Buchnevich was booted to the second power play unit.
Rest in peace, Buchnevich.
Yeah, Brandon Saad took his spot, so that top line's fully correlated down the power play.
Give me more St. Louis 1 then.
Yeah,
I apologize.
I kind of figured. I kind of figured. I knew where you were going with this because you and I were talking about the Winnipeg penalty kill, especially, right? Yeah. Winnipeg, one of the 10 most penalized teams in the NHL, or no, one of the 15 most penalized teams. Like they're mid-pack for penalized, but they're one of the worst penalty kills in the league, and it's something that's been plaguing this team. I don't know, for like 6 or 7 years now. Like, I think they had one good penalty kill season a couple of years ago. Other than that, they're like bottom 5 every year.
Although he's not the best special teams coach on the defensive side.
Yeah, so that's what's really driving us to St. Louis 1 here. And, you know, you can stack them for 16K. So while, you know, you probably can't fit your Bostons or your Edmontons, you can fit anybody else you want, right? You can fit in your Calgary. You can fit in your Carolina. So if you're not stacking Boston or Edmonton, St. Louis 1, especially where Brandon Saad has correlation with them, perfect correlation with them on the power play now, makes a lot of sense. They're probably going to see a fair amount of that Scheifele-Wheeler matchup, and that's just not a match. In fact, like with Paul Stastny gone, the only matchup I'd really be worried about is Kopp and Ehlers, and they're not going to get that matchup at all. So, yeah, I'm in on St. Louis 1. With Torrey Krug out, Justin Falk, power play 1, 4,900. You can full stack that top power play unit for like 21K or whatever without Tarasenko, obviously. So, yeah, really do like St. Louis 1 a lot here tonight. Not so much for me on the Winnipeg side. I do agree with you. Two-man Dubois and Connor is the only thing that's interesting to me. I'm not going to say no to playing Scheifele-Wheeler. I'm just not playing a 12% owned filler line on a slate with 20 teams playing.
Yeah, with so much value, like at that ownership, like, come on. There's so many more lines I'd rather play than, you know, I get the appeal because it's Blake Wheeler. He's got name values, 3,200, power play 1, but we just talked about, Los Angeles 2 with Cale Clegg, right? Detroit 2, I'd rather play.
2, New Jersey 2, right? There's tons of lines. You don't have to go and jam in a 3,200 Blake Wheeler tonight. Trust me. And you know what this means, right?
He's locked in the best game of his career.
46 DK points, man, at least tonight.
Yeah.
All right, let's get away from this game. The Awesemo Hall of Fame is something we do around here. We love to celebrate our winners. We have winners coming up almost on a daily basis, it seems now. If you want to join the Awesemo Hall of Fame, this is how you do it. Download the Awesemo avatar from awesemo.com/avatar. Place in the top 3 of a contest with over 5,000 contestants, and then tweet the wins to the Awesemo HOF account. That's Awesemo HOF account on Twitter. You can win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. You can only win 1 free month per year. You'll see some of the winners popping up, and you don't have to win 6 figures. We have the Chronic Wizard here winning $430 at the top of NFL Showdown. We celebrate people winning a few $100s, a few $1,000s, or tens of thousands of dollars. It doesn't matter. And we do NFL and we do NBA. I saw a buddy of ours, Chris Worstel, took down second in the $15 NHL on Saturday night, I believe. So congrats to Chris. So yeah, Awesemo Hoff. If you want to get in, download the Awesemo profile pic at awesemo.com/avatar. Tweet the wins to the Awesemo Hoff account, and you have an opportunity to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. All right, 4 more games left. Let's get to the first one. Pittsburgh 3.0 implied goal total going into Chicago. The Blackhawks have a 3.1 implied goal total. One thing I want to say about this game is that one thing we use Chicago a lot for is their power play. Pittsburgh is one of the least penalized teams in the NHL on the season. I'm looking it up right now. Second fewest penalties allowed per game. So if Chicago only gets like maybe 2 or 3 power plays here tonight, not sure I really love them. What do you think about this game, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, listen, Brian Russ is back. Yeah, Carter's not Crosby defensively, but like they've got the Pittsburgh Penguins have 3 good defensive lines now. Again, another total where I'm scratching my head, like 3.1 at home for the Blackhawks. I don't buy it, especially. And then you look at the ownership, like Patty Kane, 13%, DeBrincat over 10. Like, I just can't get behind it going into a tough defensive matchup. Tays, Kubalik, 3%. I guess it's fine, but like at those, they're priced in kind of like a spot where I'd rather just go down to Detroit 2 or LA 2 in that kind of spot. So I'm pretty much out on the Blackhawks tonight. Top line because of ownership. Second line, I like spots better. I mean, Pittsburgh is a good defensive team. They don't take penalties. So for me, this is a Pittsburgh game, for as good as, defensively the Penguins are, the Blackhawks are the opposite. They're not very good. That second line's another filler line that I like tonight. Zucker, Rodriguez, Kapanen. If you need a filler line, they're coming in 3%. If you want to, get away from that Scheifele Wheeler chalk that's going to break the slate because we trashed it. I also don't mind, the Gensel Carter Russ line fully correlated on the power play. They're in no man's land, like with the price. They're in the 17 or low 18s. Like, you can't fit in with Edmonton, you can't fit in with Boston. So I think, they're up there for me, like with St. Louis as a spot that I really like, that people are just going to overlook because they're going to jam in the Edmontons and the Boston. So I think Pittsburgh top line's in a great spot as well.
Yeah. I don't mind a two-man of Taves and Kubalik. They're going to go up against the Carter line. You're right. They're not bad defensively, but one thing they do is they trade chances. You know what I mean? So like maybe Taves and Kubalik can get on the board here, but we talk about Chicago's power play and it's the one bright spot of the season. Pittsburgh, the second fewest penalties against, and they have a top 10 penalty kill. So what are we going to do with Chicago here? Like, I don't want to play Kane and DeBrincat. Their ownership coming in over 10% in a terrible matchup. Taves and Kubalik is the two-man I'd look to. They're getting some power play time. So if the power play comes through, they're going to be on there. Pittsburgh 1 is more high event than the rest of the line. So I think that's where I'd look on Chicago here. I would look to Taves and Kubalik if you're looking for any Blackhawks, but I'm out on Chicago here tonight. I do like the Pittsburgh second line the most out of this entire game. Zucker Rodriguez makes a really nice two-man for me. Throw on Kapanen if you just want to three-man stack them. Their numbers have been very good together this year. We're looking at 3.1 expected goals for per 60 minutes on the season. They're going to absolutely run over the Dr. Brinkat Kane line. So I like Zucker, Rodriguez, and Kapanen as a little filler stack, or just Rodriguez, Zucker as a two-man here tonight. One thing I should mention, forgot to mention that Henrik Borgstrom looks like he's going to be out tonight for Chicago. So Chicago's bottom six may look a little bit different. On the blue line, like I think I'd just be correlating. Like, there's no super cheap guys that I want to play on either side. Maybe P.O. Joseph from Pittsburgh, but I'm worried about his ice time. So there's really nothing for defensemen for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Mike Matheson slappy, and he's 3,400. So, if I was there, that's a fine. Nothing on the Chicago side. Like, Murphy's up about 4K. I just don't want to do it.
Yep. Good enough. San Jose, 2.3 implied goal total going into Calgary. The Flames have a 3.3 implied goal total. Now, I want to clarify something about their COVID list. Obviously, San Jose has a ton of guys on the COVID list, and they had some players come off in Kevin LeBanc and Timo Meier, but they didn't travel with the team. They're still in San Jose, so they're not going to be in tonight. So San Jose is going to be running the same lineup they've been running for the last few games, which has been bad. And Calgary is going to be sending out their top line, Lindholm, Gaudreau, and Tkachuk, against the second and third lines from San Jose. And with all those wingers missing, I mean, let alone COVID, they sent William Eklund back to Sweden, and Evander Kane is still suspended. Like, there are a lot of bodies missing from the San Jose lineup. So I'm not going to go too deep here. I love Calgary 1 here tonight. What are your thoughts, Josh?
Yeah, I agree. Calgary 1's in a great spot. The depth of the Sharks is just not it. I will say on the Sharks side, Bonino, Couture, Dahlin fully correlated on the power play. They're probably going to get the Backlund matchup, which is the one that you want to see. But like 2.3 total on the road, 10 game. I'm not sure like if they're going to be they won't be a primary focus for me. But in MME, fully correlated lines under 1%, as bad as they are, in that iteration, I still think you can have a handful there just to get them in. Don't mind a hurdle one-off, but at 6K now on the top power play, it gets a little pricey there. So Calgary 1 for me pretty much is the primary focus from this game.
Yeah, I will mention Calgary 3, Lucic, Dubé, Mangiapane. Don't mind a little two-man out of them. They're getting lots of secondary power play time, or some secondary power play time, and maybe they get some more minutes if Calgary can start to blow this game out a little bit. There's nothing on the blue line that I'm playing other than correlating here. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. Mario Ferraro is a little bit too expensive for a one-off.
Yep. Before we get out of here, we have a couple games left in our hat trick picks and all that, but give us a like and subscribe if you can. The subscribe will help you keep up with all of our shows, DFS giveaways, and a whole lot more. You can always unsubscribe if you want, but I think you guys are going to like what we have. And then hit that notification button to get alerts when our shows go live. All right. Anaheim has a 2.4 implied goal total. They're going into Vancouver. The Canucks have a 3.1 implied goal total. I wrote up Nils Hoglander from the Power Plays article for the second week in a row here today. That line has just been rolling, but I noticed that they're coming in at that Winnipeg Scheifele Wheeler ownership, right? Like almost 10%. That seems pretty over-owned to me, but it is a good spot. And like, I think I can get unique enough elsewhere. So what do you think about this game, Josh?
Yeah, no, if I was going to go to the line in Vancouver, it would be that Horvat line. I think the Patterson line is going to be a bit over-owned, especially because they finally broke out a little bit over the weekend, and they're fully correlated on the power play, but they're coming in over 15%. And I know it's the Ducks and I know it's this and that, but like, I don't know, for 15%, I'm just going to look elsewhere. The time to get them was the last game when they were struggling. If they broke out, they're going to be higher owned. I'm sure Jake has 93% Vancouver one tonight, but I mean, I'm not going to tell you no to play him, but like for me, if I was making 150 or even 20, like I'd probably just have them in one or two of 20, like around that 5%. I'd be under the field on them. I'd be more heavy on that Vancouver second line. Bo Horvat gets that top power play time. Niels Hoglander is a good shooter. That line, there isn't a matchup on the Ducks that scares me, and they're just going to get a better matchup. So
Yeah, I was just looking at Anaheim's numbers. Like the top line might be a break-even line. The rest of the lines are just going to get choked, right? So I'm not super high on Vancouver, but that Vancouver second line has just been so good. 3.5 expected goals per 60 minutes, almost 90 shot attempts per 60 minutes. So for me, it's about Vancouver 2. Anaheim 3, don't mind a two-man of Comtois and Steele. Vancouver's penalty kill is god-awful, and Steele Comtois are on that Getzlaf power play unit and super cheap. So if you need, one of those cheap two-mans for your Edmonton-Boston lineups, Steele and Comtois is where I'm looking. On the blue line, like I think everybody on Anaheim is overpriced except for Hampus Lindholm. On the Vancouver side, I'd just be correlating. What do you think?
I concur with that analysis.
All right. Last game, real quick, with Seattle 2.6 implied goal total going into Vegas. The Golden Knights have a 2.9 implied goal total. All I will say is that I am on the Yarncroc Gord line here tonight. They're getting some power play. They're going to get some secondary matchups. That second line from Vegas is playing very high event. So I like Seattle too. What do you like, Josh?
Yeah, I agree. And then Yarncroc 2,600 power play one. Like if you're trying to jam in some Studleys in there, get some Yarncroc in your life. With that being high event, like Yanni Gord is my favorite center on the Seattle team. Like it fully correlates. You get them for 7,400. You want to go to the Schwartz, Wenberg, Eberle line, that's fine. But for me, I'm concentrating on Seattle 2 here. Vegas 1 has been pretty good with Nicholas Roy there. Like recently, it's kind of weird locking in, Nicholas Roy, but 3,500 power play 1, don't mind it.
Yeah, I don't hate that either. So I'm going to at least be considering them because they have been a good line, but I think Seattle's been better defensively. So mostly Seattle 2 for me. Coming up right after us, we have the NBA Strategy Show with Eitan and Terry. Then we have the PGA Strategy Show coming up at 4 Eastern with Jason and Eric, followed by the NBA Deeper Dive and the Live Before Lock. Before we get out of here, I want to give us quick thanks to our sponsor, Yahoo. Again, make sure you check out Yahoo Fantasy and the deal we have from them down below. Josh, I'm going to ask you for your goalies and your hat trick picks for tonight. The goalie that I have in my power play article is Andrei Vasilevsky. The goalie that I'm really going to go on a long shot with is Aiden Hill. And my hat trick pick is David Perron. Who you got?
I will back the Vasilevsky there. I also like Cal Peterson, and I'm going to go Jesse Puljujarvi.
I like it. Jesse Puljujarvi, David Perron, Arya hat trick picks. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody, for sticking around. We have the NBA Strategy Show coming up. So for Tyler, for Josh, this is Michael Clifford saying we'll be back Thursday, but good luck tonight.